Imagine you're facing the worst moment of your life. Everything you've worked for is crumbling. The people you love are suffering. Your future looks hopeless. Now imagine that in this exact moment, you discover a hidden superpower, a secret space that exists between what happens to you and how you respond. A space so powerful that it transformed a Holocaust survivor into one of history's most influential psychologists. Viktor Frankl discovered this space in the depths of a Nazi concentration camp, and what he learned there will revolutionize how you handle every crisis, setback, and challenge for the rest of your life. In the next 30 minutes, I'm going to show you the Frankl method, a scientifically backed approach that turns suffering into strength and adversity into advantage. Viktor Frankl wasn't just a theorist writing about human resilience from the comfort of an academic office. He was a man who had everything stripped away: his family, his life's work, his freedom, even his name. In the concentration camps, he was reduced to a number, 119,134. But here's what's extraordinary. While millions perished around him, Frankl made a discovery that would change psychology forever. He noticed that some prisoners, despite facing identical horrors, maintained their humanity while others broke completely. The difference wasn't physical strength, luck, or circumstances. It was something far more profound. Frankl observed that those who survived weren't necessarily the strongest or the most fortunate. They were the ones who found meaning in their suffering and learned to exercise what he called the last of human freedoms, the ability to choose one's attitude in any given circumstances. This wasn't just philosophical speculation. Frankl was conducting real-time research on human resilience under the most extreme conditions imaginable. His insights became Logotherapy, the third major school of Viennese psychotherapy, and his book, Man's Search for Meaning, became one of the most influential works of the 20th century. Let me show you something that will change how you see every problem in your life. Right now, I want you to think about the last time someone really upset you. Maybe they criticized your work, betrayed your trust, or said something hurtful. Notice what happened. There was the event, the stimulus, and then there was your reaction, the response. Most people think these happen simultaneously, but Frankl discovered something revolutionary. There's a gap. Between what happens to you and how you respond, there exists a space. Most people never notice this space because they react so quickly. But this space, however brief, contains infinite possibility. In this space lies your freedom to choose. The automatic response trap. Most of us live in what I call stimulus response prison. Someone cuts us off in traffic, we get angry. We receive criticism, we get defensive. We face a setback, we despair. We've trained ourselves to react automatically, like biological machines. But Frankl realized that humans are different from animals precisely because we can pause in this space. A dog hears a loud noise and immediately barks. But a human can hear criticism and choose how to interpret it, how to feel about it, and how to respond to it. The three components of the space. First, awareness. You must recognize that space exists. This requires developing what psychologists call metacognition, thinking about your thinking. When something happens, instead of immediately reacting, you pause and observe your own mental process. Second, choice. In this space, you have options. You can choose to interpret the situation differently. You can choose to respond with anger or with curiosity. You can choose to see this as a threat or as an opportunity for growth. Third, response. Your response becomes conscious rather than automatic. Instead of being a victim of circumstances, you become the author of your experience. The concentration camp laboratory. Frankl tested this principle under the most extreme conditions. When guards would humiliate him, beat him, or threaten his life, he would retreat into this space. He couldn't control what they did to his body, but he could control what happened in his mind. He would imagine himself after the war, standing in a lecture hall, teaching others about the psychology of survival. In that space between the guard's cruelty and his response, Frankl found freedom. He transformed his suffering into research, his pain into purpose. Here's where Frankl's method becomes truly revolutionary. He discovered that suffering itself isn't the problem. It's meaningless suffering that destroys us. When we can find meaning in our pain, something miraculous happens. The suffering transforms from a burden into a teacher. The 3 sources of meaning. Creative values. What you give to the world through your work, your art, your contributions. Even in the concentration camp, Frankl found meaning by mentally reconstructing his lost manuscript and planning how he would help others after the war. Experiential values. What you take from the world through love, beauty, and connection. Frankl found meaning in moments of human kindness, in the memory of his wife's face, in a beautiful sunset seen through barbed wire. Attitudinal values. The stance you take toward unavoidable suffering. This is the most powerful source of meaning because it's always available to you. No one can take away your ability to choose your attitude. The meaning-making process. Step 1. Accept what cannot be changed. Frankl learned to distinguish between what he could and couldn't control. He couldn't control the camp conditions, but he could control his response to them. Step 2. Find the lesson or growth opportunity. Every adversity contains seeds of wisdom. Frankl asked, "What is this experience teaching me? How is it making me stronger or wiser?" Step 3. Connect to something greater. Suffering becomes meaningful when it serves a purpose beyond yourself. Frankl endured because he knew his experiences could help others. Step 4. Transform pain into purpose. The ultimate meaning-making move is using your suffering to prevent or alleviate the suffering of others. The paradox of suffering. Frankl discovered that when you try to avoid suffering at all costs, you often create more suffering. But when you accept suffering as part of life and find meaning in it, you develop what he called tragic optimism. The ability to maintain hope and find purpose even in the face of unavoidable pain. Modern applications. This isn't just about extreme situations. Every day, you face many adversities: rejection, failure, disappointment, conflict. The Frankl method teaches you to pause in that space and ask, how can I find meaning in this? What is this teaching me? How can this make me stronger? Now let's make this practical. I'm going to give you a step-by-step framework you can use starting today. The SPACE technique. S. Stop. When something adverse happens, resist the urge to react immediately. Take a breath. Count to 3. Physically pause. P. Pause. Recognize that you're in the space between stimulus and response. This is your moment of power. A. Assess. Ask yourself 3 questions. What can I control in this situation? What meaning might this experience hold? How do I want to respond in alignment with my values? C. Choose. Consciously select your response based on your assessment, not your automatic emotional reaction. E. Execute. Act from this place of conscious choice rather than unconscious reaction. Real-world example. Let's say you get fired from your job. Your automatic response might be panic, anger, or despair. But using the space technique, stop. Don't immediately call everyone to complain or send angry emails. Pause. Recognize this is a moment where you can choose your response. Assess. You can't control the firing, but you can control how you interpret it and what you do next. Maybe this is an opportunity to pursue something you're more passionate about. Choose. Decide to see this as a redirection rather than a rejection. Execute. Start planning your next move from a place of possibility rather than victimhood. The meaning-making questions. When facing any adversity, ask yourself, 1. What is this situation trying to teach me? 2. How might this challenge be preparing me for something better? 3. What strengths am I developing through this experience? 4. How can I use this experience to help others in the future? 5. What would the person I want to become do in this situation? The daily practice. Start small. Practice the space technique with minor irritations, traffic jams, long lines, technology problems. Build your response choice muscle with low-stakes situations so it's strong when you face major challenges. Let me share a real-world application of the Frankl method through the story of Sarah, a marketing executive who lost everything in a company restructuring. The crisis. Sarah had worked for the same company for 12 years. She'd climbed the ladder, earned respect, built her identity around her role. Then, in a single meeting, she learned her entire department was being eliminated. At 45, with a mortgage and 2 kids in college, she felt her world collapse. Initial response. Sarah's first reaction was pure panic. She couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, spent days in bed alternating between rage and despair. She felt like a failure, worried about her family's future, and saw no way forward. Discovering the space. 3 weeks into her crisis, Sarah remembered something from a psychology class about Viktor Frankl. She decided to try the space technique. Stop. Instead of spiraling into another day of despair, she literally stopped and sat quietly for 5 minutes. Pause. She recognized that between losing her job and her response to it, there was a choice point. Assess. She asked herself, what can I control? What meaning might this hold? How do I want to respond? Choose. She decided to see this as an opportunity to reassess her life and pursue work that truly fulfilled her. Execute. She began taking concrete steps toward a new future. The meaning-making process. Sarah applied Frankl's 3 sources of meaning. Creative values. She realized she'd always wanted to start her own consulting firm, but had been too comfortable to take the risk. The firing forced her into the entrepreneurial leap she'd been avoiding. Experiential values. The crisis brought her family closer together. Her children stepped up to help, and she discovered strengths in herself she'd never known existed. Attitudinal values. She chose to see this setback as a setup for something better. Instead of being bitter about the firing, she became grateful for the push toward her authentic path. The transformation. 18 months later, Sarah's consulting firm was thriving. She was earning more money, had better work-life balance, and felt more fulfilled than ever. But the real transformation was internal. She'd developed unshakable confidence in her ability to handle whatever life threw at her. The key insight: Sarah's circumstances didn't change overnight, but her relationship to adversity transformed completely. She learned that she couldn't control what happened to her, but she could always control what happened to her. Here's your challenge. For the next 7 days, practice the space technique with every minor frustration you encounter. When someone cuts you off in traffic, when technology doesn't work, when plans get canceled, use these moments to strengthen your response choice muscle. Remember Frankl's profound insight. You are never truly powerless as long as you can choose your attitude. Between every stimulus and response lies a space of infinite possibility. In that space, you can transform any adversity into advantage, any suffering into strength. The Frankl method isn't about eliminating problems from your life. It's about developing the inner freedom to choose your response to any problem. When you master this skill, you become truly unstoppable. If this exploration of Viktor Frankl's revolutionary approach to adversity gave you a new perspective on your challenges, hit that like button and subscribe for more life-changing insights from history's greatest thinkers. Next week, we're diving into Seneca's counterintuitive approach to time management, why you have more time than you think, and how to reclaim the hours you're unconsciously wasting. The space between stimulus and response is where your freedom lives. The question isn't whether you'll face adversity, you will. The question is, what will you choose to do in that space? Your growth, your freedom, and your future depend on your answer.